3 lives ended in a single night.
Please send someone, please. I want to kill my family.
Someone killed your family?
Somebody killed my came home, my family's dead.
And the killer wasn't a stranger.
He knew all 3 of them longer than he knew me.
He was family.
Some people that say that you might have had something to do with it.
I don't have anything to do with my own cousin.
They had laughed together. They had traveled together. They even shared the same roof. But behind closed doors, something was brewing. Something no one saw coming.
He's like, I've killed 3 people. You don't think I'll kill you too? If you ever call me you betray again, I'm going to kill you.
Today, we unravel the story of a betrayal so deep, it shattered an entire town.
I don't know if he's looking at me, thinking I'm looking at him or what, but he starts walking towards my car, just like he knows me, just walking straight towards my car. And I'm like, oh crap, this guy's walking towards me.
Welcome to the channel. If you think you know betrayal, think again. Let's get into it. It was January 4th, 2016. Columbus, Georgia woke up cold and quiet that morning. But for Robert Short, it's been a long night. He was just getting off work. He'd spent 21 years in the military, working as a nurse. After retiring, he settled into a quiet suburban life, picked up a job at a local hospital, and worked the night shift. That morning, like every other morning, he clocked out exactly at 7:15 a.m. By 7:20, he was pulling out of the parking lot, heading home. It was a short drive, just a few turns on a couple of sleepy streets. But the second Robert rolled into his driveway, something felt wrong. The garage door, wide open. Robert's stomach dropped. He threw the car in park and rushed inside. What he saw in there, no man could ever prepare for it. Inside that house, a nightmare was waiting. Somehow, Robert found the strength to grab his phone and call for help.
911 was added to the emergency.
Please send someone, please. I want to kill my family.
Someone killed your family?
Somebody killed my came home, my family's dead. My wife, my son. My granddaughter's dead.
Hold on.
The 911 dispatcher could barely make sense of his words. Robert was trying to explain, trying to get it out fast.
It's an apartment or a residence?
This is a resident.
Resident. What's your name?
My name is Robert Short. Robert Short. I checked that for they've been beaten.
Within minutes, police cruisers were tearing down his street through the morning air. Columbus wasn't going to stay quiet much longer. Something terrible had happened in that suburban home, and nothing about it was simple. Officers rolled up to the house in Upatoy. The garage door was wide open, and Robert Short was sitting outside the house. Before the investigators could go through the crime scene, the first responders needed to clear the house. They moved through the house room by room, clearing it like they've done 100 times before.
When we're in the house, we kind of made a line so that we all were in line clearing the house.
I got you.
They cleared the kitchen and moved on to the living room. But what they found inside, well, nothing could have prepared them for it. Just inside the house, they spotted them. 2 victims, sprawled out on the floor, blood all around them.
Where I saw 2 victims lying on the ground, blood all around them, and you could tell that they were deceased.
From where he stood, it was clear. They were gone. They pressed forward. They made it to the master bedroom. There, in the walk-in closet, they found someone else. A young man lying bound with tape, crumpled on the floor. One of the officers pointed to an open window.
You got an open window right there. Yeah, let's back out.
Maybe that's how the killer got in, or maybe how they slipped out. Either way, one thing was clear. EMTs weren't needed anymore. This wasn't a rescue mission, it was a crime scene now. First responders also noticed that the front door was locked from the inside.
That bolt is locked.
Yeah.
I think that window over there is broke though.
Had the attacker entered and left through the open bedroom window?
I'm gonna use this door. We're making a note that bolt was locked. I got it recorded anyway, sorry.
After clearing the house, the first responders handed the charge to the homicide investigators. Detective Alan Malone showed up not long after. He pulled Robert Short aside, trying to piece together who was who in this nightmare. Robert, still shaking, identified them all. His wife, Gloria Short, she was 54. His son, Caleb, only 17, and little Gianna, Gigi, as they called her, only 10 years old. Three generations wiped out. The house was big. It was going to take a long time to gather everything the investigators needed, but the signs were already loud and clear. This wasn't just a robbery gone wrong. It felt personal. Gloria's body was found down the hallway. Gigi was lying in the living room. It was hard to look at her. The officers noticed she was wrapped up in blue painter's tape and duct tape, like someone had gone out of their way to silence her. Next to her, a 20-pound dumbbell, slick with blood. They figured the killer had used it on her. Brutal, especially for a little girl. Caleb was found in the closet, still bound. His socks had little bits of grass stuck to them, telling detectives he had been outside before ending up back inside. They followed that trail of clues right out into the backyard, where scraps of duct tape were scattered like breadcrumbs. And somewhere out there, the monster who did this was still walking free. The same day, on January 4th, 2016, detectives brought Robert Short down to the station. Even though he was the one who called 911, they couldn't just let that slide. Protocol is protocol, and sometimes the person on the phone isn't always the innocent one. With all the evidence piling up, they had to take a closer look at him. At this point, the investigators weren't just going through the motions. They were looking for cuts, scratches, anything that might tie Robert physically to the brutal scene back at the house. They needed to know if the killer might have walked into their interview room wearing the face of a grieving husband and father.
Okay. I know it's a difficult time for you. I just try to ask you a couple questions about, try to recap to me about what occurred from the time that you got home today. Could you please just walk me through tell me what occurred?
Robert's voice was shaky but steady enough to paint the picture. Every word he said, every pause he took, the detectives were listening hard, trying to figure out if grief was the only thing in his voice, or if guilt was hiding somewhere underneath it.
I was driving to the house and I saw the garage door up. The car was on. First I thought my wife had went to a hair salon, but then I saw my other car is in the driveway. It was gone.
What car is that?
2004 GMC Envoy.
What color is it?
It's green. We had been driving it for a while because the brakes are bad. And my wife been driving a Volkswagen Beetle, which was in the garage, and it was gone.
What year is that Volkswagen?
2014.
What color is it?
It's silver.
The detective wanted him to tell it like it just happened, like he was still standing there in the driveway.
The garage was open, the attic door was hanging down, lights on in the attic. And I knew then something was wrong because my wife's haircut was outside and where the car was supposed to be parked, and I saw some blood, some arrows from the attic, bow arrows was laying there by the door. I know something was wrong, so because nobody opened the attic but me. And the door was open, the back door was open.
The back door was open?
It was open, yeah.
And when you say the back door, what door are you talking about?
When you go through the garage, the door goes to the kitchen.
The garage door?
Garage door.
Okay.
The garage door was open up, but the door to the house.
Okay.
Back door, the side door.
Okay. So it was wide open when you got there?
It was open, it was ajar.
Every little detail Robert shared, the detectives locked it away. Open doors, missing car, blood by the attic. It wasn't just a story they were hearing. It was a timeline, and they needed to find out if it was the truth or a carefully rehearsed lie.
So I went in. My wife was laying in the hallway, face down. And stuff was scattered everywhere. And I checked the pulse, and no pulse. And
Now, when you say you check the pulse, where you check a pulse at? Carotid order.
And I saw my granddaughter laying in the living room, face up, and I checked her pulse, and she was cold. And I started running through the house looking for my son, calling his name. He wasn't in his room. So I ran back out into my room and found him in my bedroom closet, tied up.
Take your time.
Robert's voice cracked a little as he tried to explain himself. The detective stayed patient, letting him get his story out bit by bit.
I didn't check the house no further than I came back out and went back in and checked him again.
So you say you came back out?
I came back out to my wife and then I went back and checked on him and I couldn't get to wake up. Then I started trying to call 911. I haven't taken a couple of minutes to call 911 because I was also...
Detective Malone softened his tone a bit. He needed Robert to stay focused. Every detail mattered now.
Now, with your son, did you check his pulse also?
Yeah.
Okay. And you mentioned that your granddaughter, you check her pulse?
Yeah.
His answers were short, almost mechanical, like he was stuck replaying the nightmare over and over in his head. Detective Malone moved carefully now, giving Robert a little space. He knew he was grieving, but he also knew he couldn't afford to overlook anything. Robert came in for a follow-up interview the next day. He looked more composed this time. He sat down, folded his hands, and started going over everything again. Same timeline, same routine.
So I understand on that particular day what occurred from the time you got up, left the house, went to work, so on and so on, came back home from the following day before to now.
The time I got up, I don't get up I get up at 5:40. When I work at night, I'm up most of the morning and I go to sleep around noon, so and I get up at 5:40.
Yes,
and I go straight to work. So I get up at 5:40 and all I do is get dressed and go straight to work. And that's what I did. I got up and got dressed. When I get up, I didn't see Kayla. I get Kayla in his room. It's always no pain games or something, but I did see and I saw Shamika, her mother, and my wife. That's all in the living room.
Just to clarify, what day are you referring to? What particular day? It's January the what?
It would be the 3rd, Sunday.
Okay.
So I worked Saturday night and I worked Sunday. Sunday night was my last night. I just still went to work. That's what I normally do. It takes me 20-25 minutes to get to work in some traffic. And I was there, I worked from 7 to 7, worked all night, and we were there to like change the shift between 6:45 and 7:15. We didn't really have any patient in ICU where I worked at, so I helped me on the other floors. But no change of shift. We just sometimes we just hang out and socialize a bit, talk about different things with the oncoming shift, which is what we did. I think I looked at the clock, it was 7:20, and also me and Mary, the person who worked that night, we walked out the parking lot together and drove home. When I got home, went through the driveway, I noticed the garage door was open, and both the cars were gone.
Inside the house, it was even worse. All 3 of them were dead. He didn't stick around. He panicked, ran through the garage, and called 911 from outside. At this point in the interview, Detective Malone started pushing a little, trying to pull at the edges of what Robert remembered, or maybe what he hadn't noticed the first time.
The attic door was hanging down, open, and like the light was on it. And some arrows were laying out in the garage. I'm looking in the attic. My wife's cat was laying in the middle of the garage. And when I started walking up there, I thought I knew something was wrong right away when both cars gone in. And I saw a cat laying down there, and a blood spot rushed in there. And I found her in the hallway. And I started calling her name, and she was on her face. She was face down. And I checked her, and she wasn't responding at all.
Can you clarify what you mean when you checked it?
I shook her, and I tried to check her pulse. And she was laying down. And she was cold. And I saw right away, I saw to check her. And she was faced up. And she was cold too. And checked her pulse right there. Go right her pulse, and I couldn't feel nothing. And I started screaming and yelling for Caleb. I ran back to his bedroom. He wasn't in there. And I ran back, come back through the house. I ran back over again, went into our bedroom. And I saw Caleb, the closet door was open. I walked in the closet, saw him laying there. And I checked his pulse. And he wasn't, sort of like hysterical at that time. I ran back to Caleb and started yelling his name. And I had my phone. Started calling 911. And I was shaking so hard, it took me a couple times to get through it. Outside calling, and then go back in the house.
You say you went outside. What door did you go out of?
I got the back door, garage door.
Okay.
And meanwhile, I was calling people. I tried to call Shamika first, and she wasn't answering at first.
Yes,
she never did answer. Then I called my brother, and that's about it. The police came.
Did at any time that you look around the residence, check in other rooms, see if anything was missing?
No, I didn't go back in the house.
You didn't go back in the house?
No, I wouldn't notice anything was missing or not. I wasn't concerned with anything missing at the time. I was concerned about him.
Anything stand out to you that seemed out of the ordinary? Out of place? Like anything was moved or disturbed?
I just recall a lot of stuff on the floor, but I can't recall what it was. Something I can't remember. It was a ceramic bowl. It was like a round color bowl. That's one thing I can recall, but there's more than that on the floor. Though. There was all this stuff scattered on the floor.
Where is that bowl normally located at that you're referring to?
Normally located in the pantry.
It shouldn't have been out like that. Then Detective Malone changed the questions again, this time toward weightlifting gear.
Did you own any weightlifting equipment?
Some dumbbells.
Some dumbbells? Okay, how many of them you own?
I had 2 gray dumbbells. That was the plastic dumbbell with the sand, I guess the sand inside of it. I had 2 of those. I had that for a long time. Just recently, last year or year before, I bought.
The conversation steered toward his military background. Robert painted a picture of a steady, disciplined life, one built around service, family, and medicine. Detective Malone was looking for cracks or hidden tensions, but Robert's answers stayed firm.
We'll describe them that way. Did he have any problems with anybody? I know I've asked you this already, but I'll ask you again. Did you think did he have any issues with anybody at school?
No, I think he was safe. He did, but no, he didn't have any issues with anybody.
Okay. Did you or your wife have any problems with anybody? Anybody was mad at you, upset at you?
No.
Caleb and Gloria both had small policies, but Robert's own policy was bigger, over $400,000. So if Robert isn't the killer, Detective Malone knew he needs to widen his suspect pool. With 2 vehicles stolen from the scene, he knew right away they were dealing with more than one suspect, and despite keenly looking into Robert Short, they couldn't find any accomplice working with him. Finally, there was a break. One of the stolen cars had a GPS tracker. The signal leads them straight to Oakland Park. There, they found both missing vehicles sitting side by side. Investigators moved fast. They started processing both cars, but there wasn't any word yet if they had any suspects or made any arrests. After snapping pictures of everything, they had the vehicles towed to the crime scene unit's processing bay. That's where things got interesting. As soon as they hit the armrest, steering wheel, and gear shift with luminol, the car lit up. Blood clear as day. They swabbed the touch points and sent the samples off for DNA testing, hoping it would bring them closer to whoever was behind this. But before the DNA results came in, another break, and this one picked up the pace in a big way. A woman called Columbus police saying her son might be involved in the car theft. Officers went straight to her house to get the full story.
He said that he was with a friend. What's the friend's name?
All I know is
Rita?
and some other boy. I don't know the boy's name.
And he said they went to the house? And
I don't know what house. They came back with some stuff. Where's the stuff? That boy came back driving the car. My child did.
Okay.
Whatever they find the open part.
After talking with her, police brought in her son, Raheem Gibson, for questioning. He didn't seem to know much, or at least he acted like he didn't. Before diving deeper, officers needed some basic information from Raheem. After getting the basics, the conversation moved to Raheem's day-to-day life.
How long you guys been dating?
About a year.
A year? Okay. You have any kids?
One.
It's a handful, isn't it? Okay. You working anywhere?
No.
Okay. What do you do all day? Be a daddy?
Yeah.
Okay.
At that point, the detective read Raheem his rights before moving any further. The officer wanted to know what Raheem's inner circle really was.
What about your friends? Who you normally hang out with?
This boy named Javarsier.
Javarsier, that's your closest friend? Is that his real name, or that's just what you call him?
That's his real name.
The real name? Okay. Who's Ouida?
Javarsier.
Javarsier is Ouida. Okay. Okay.
Investigators were still piecing it all together, but they knew who Javarsier Tapley was. In fact, he had already sat down for an interview after the murders. At the time, Javarsier came off like any concerned relative, giving them the impression that his cousin Caleb was just a regular sweet kid.
Tell me about Caleb. Who is he to you, first of all?
My cousin.
What type of kid was Caleb?
Caleb, now, his mouth can be a little, but Caleb was the sweetest kid you'll ever meet, sir. The sweetest kid.
Okay, he was real sweet.
He'll never harm anybody else. Of course, you know, everybody talk a little smack every now and then. I do it myself. I'm pretty sure you do it from time to time, but any other than that, Caleb didn't have no problems with anybody, not that I know of.
But with Raheem Gibson now talking, the pieces were starting to look very different.
Basically, I was his only kind of brother figure in his life.
Right.
And he was kind of only mine because me and him used to go on vacations and I went out there with stuff like that.
They were tight. It all made sense to Detective Malone at the time. Nothing about it threw up any red flags. Still, there was a part that stuck. A small thing.
Like I was telling him, I didn't know too much about Caleb's social life. All I knew is when I come out there, it would just be me, him, and his friends.
Right.
So like with your homeboys at high school, you know, y'all sit around, joke around, play basketball, talk about girls, and that's what we do. That's what we do.
Right.
Nothing that seemed worth digging into at the time, but now that casual circle of friends was starting to look a lot less harmless. Because now, Raheem wasn't just hinting, he was laying it out, one ugly detail at a time.
So let's just start off on Sunday. Where did you wake up January 3rd? Where did you sleep that morning?
I was at my house.
Okay. And what was the first time that you left that house, or just describe your day?
I was just sitting at the house, watching TV with my girlfriend, playing with my baby.
Okay.
And he texted me and said, come over.
When you say he, I'm sorry, who's
Javarsier.
Okay, Javarsier.
Javarsier wanted Raheem to come over, and this wasn't just a one-off thing either. It sounded like a regular part of their lives.
So Javarsier texted you. Do you happen to remember what time?
12 p.m.
Okay. And when you said, what did he text you?
He said, come to my house.
Okay. So Javarsier texts you, and you walk there, and you walk from Jones to
Jones.
Okay. And you say, how long does that take you roughly?
An hour and 45.
Okay. Have you done this before? I take it. I mean,
yeah, I do it like every weekend, every other weekend.
And if you had a guess, do you think what? If you said it takes you an hour and 40, so you're there by roughly 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
Okay. And who's all at the house again on Calhoun?
When I got there, it was just his granddad.
Okay. You get there, and describe how long are you there for?
About 2 hours.
By the time he showed up at the house, it was just him and Javarsier's grandfather inside.
Are you guys talking about anything, or what are you guys doing for these 2 hours?
They was talking about going to his cousin's house.
Okay. And now when you say cousin, like I said, I just want to start from the very beginning.
Caleb.
And you don't have a nickname for him, he just says, okay. Has he ever mentioned Caleb before?
No, just when he used to go out there.
And what did he say about him? Anything? Or did he like him? Or?
Yeah, he said he can wait till
2 hours later, so we're roughly, you think at 4 o'clock now?
4 or 5.
Okay, 4 to 5.
But as Raheem sat there, those hours started to turn into something way more serious.
What happens at 5 o'clock? Where do you guys go next?
Just walking around Benning Hills.
Okay. Now, are you talking to anybody while you're in Benning Hills?
Just him.
I mean on your phone?
No.
Okay. And is he talking to anybody?
Quez.
Okay. Is it Doug Quez or Quez?
Quez.
Quez. Okay. And so he's got to live close to...
Yeah.
You don't know what street though?
No.
Okay. Okay, so when do you finally meet up with Quez?
On the other side of City's Hill.
Okay. It's Calhoun...
It's like a double hill. He's still on this side. We met him on the other side with Benning Drive at.
Quez lived somewhere around there. Raheem mentioned this wasn't his first time seeing Quez.
Whatever, he lives around there. Okay, so Quez. And this is your first time you're meeting Quez?
No.
Okay, when have
I've
you...
seen him around.
You've seen him around?
Hanging with him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have his number in your phone?
No.
Okay. And you described Quez as how tall?
About a little shorter than me, but not that much.
Okay, and his hair?
Fro.
But short afro?
Short.
Short is what, 2 inches?
Yeah, 2 inches.
Okay. Dark skin, light skin?
Light.
Okay, does he have any tattoos, visible tattoos?
Not that I know of.
Okay, do you know what school Quez went to?
Spencer, I guess, because they staying near each other.
Okay.
That's on.
How old, if you had to guess, how old is Quez?
16, 17.
Okay.
The detective nudged Raheem to keep going, eager to lock down the timeline.
You guys meet up in Benning Hills and tell me what happens next.
He says we're going to walk the Caleb house.
Okay. Now, was Quez asking, saying, where the hell are we going, man? This is kind of far.
Yeah.
What's Wade saying?
He just said we're going to Caleb house.
Okay. Is it getting dark yet?
Yeah, it was dark by then, but
okay.
Down Lincoln Road.
Okay.
Now, things were starting to fall into place for the investigators.
So, here we are, we're at the house. Does he give you a plan, or what's Weeda telling you? Does he give you a role?
No, he just says he ain't gonna tell who I am when he first comes to the door, so y'all just stand on the side.
Okay. But backing up, what did you say you saw in the driveway?
Basketball goal.
Okay, basketball. Was there any vehicles in the driveway at this time?
Yes.
Okay. What vehicle was in the driveway?
The truck.
Okay, when you say truck, do you know what color the truck was?
Black.
Okay. Truck as in like it had an open part in the back or an SUV?
SUV.
Okay.
Closed.
Okay.
The detective pushed him to explain every little move from that chaotic night. There was no room for shortcuts anymore.
Okay, so now you guys are at the front door, and he tells you what again?
To go on the side of the house because he's not gonna come out if you see 3 people.
Okay.
On his.
And so you and Quez are waiting at the side of the house. What are you guys talking about when you're on the side of the house? Seriously, I mean, you're probably like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Okay, tell me in your own words. What did he say to you?
I said, what are we doing? He said, just be quiet and wait for him. And I was like, okay. Mm-hmm. Then when he came to the door, he snatched him, and I just...
Well, I mean, you say snatch. Just tell me, like, real simple terms. Did you see him put his hands on him?
No. I just guess he snatched him because when I heard it, I came around the corner.
Okay, now is the front door closed when you come around the front?
I never came. I came to the front of the corner.
Okay. I understand.
And then I looked. He had him in the front of the yard on the ground.
And so so when you say he's on the ground, who's on the ground?
Javarsi and other Caleb.
Okay, are they fighting?
No, he was just holding him on the ground.
Okay, who's on top?
Javarsi.
Okay, so Javarsi is physically Oh, just holding down, or has he got his knees on him, or how would you describe it?
Got it holding his hands on,
Okay.
Holding his hands behind him.
Okay.
Javarcier had both of Caleb's arms twisted behind his back, keeping him firmly pressed to the ground. No yelling, no wrestling, just this heavy, terrifying stillness.
Is he asking you to help him, or how does that work?
He asked me to help him. I said, "If no," and I just stood in the bush and I sat down. Then the other boy helped him. They tied him up. I started shaking.
Okay. When you say tie him up, I think rope, but what did they tie him up with? Okay. There's all kinds of tape. What color was the tape?
I guess duct tape because it was gray.
Okay, so you're saying duct tape because it's gray or silver. Would you say silver or gray? Gray, silver, but it's shiny. Okay. When he ties him up, what hands or what part? Can you show me?
Tied him up like this.
Okay. So his hands are like this?
No, like this.
Okay, like this?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other tape, or he just tapes them all the way around like this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Raheem stayed crouched in the bushes, trying to stay hidden as Caleb was walked past him.
So what's he saying to him at this time?
He just kept on saying,
Caleb is saying this?
No.
Or, okay. Okay. Well, what's Caleb saying? He's got to be saying...
Yeah, he was just like, why? You better be playing. You better be playing.
Mm-hmm.
Then when I was sitting in bushes, I seen him walk past with him.
Okay. Now, is he dragging Caleb, or,
He's walking him.
Okay, he's walking him. Okay. And what's he saying to him?
Telling him to be quiet.
Okay. Guida and him, they go inside the house. And Quez, okay. And you stay outside. Did they tell you stay here, be the lookout, or why do you stay outside?
I didn't want anything to do with that.
Okay. Did they ask you to come in?
Yeah, they kept on telling me come on. I kept on saying I don't want nothing to do with it. That's not what I came here for.
Okay. If I had asked you what you did go there for, what would you say?
He said to go see what he got for Christmas.
Okay.
Outside in the cold, Raheem stayed put, while everything happened just beyond the front door.
So you're in the bushes. Do you see anybody drive by?
No.
Okay, so you don't see any lights or anything?
No.
Okay. How long were they inside the house for?
About 30 minutes.
30 minutes? Okay. What do you hear? You hear any noises?
Mm-mm.
You don't hear anybody screaming?
No.
You don't hear anything? Okay.
Time dragged until finally the door opened again, and someone snapped Raheem back into the moment. After what felt like an eternity, Quez finally came out.
So 30 minutes, and then what's the next thing someone contacts you? What happens?
Well, Quez came, he said, come on for the girl. I said, what y'all do? He didn't say nothing. And then when I was getting in the car, Javarcier came out. He said he'll be right behind us. He could get more stuff.
Okay. Okay, so now you walk to the garage, correct? Okay, now how do you know to be the driver or the passenger?
I wasn't going to be the driver.
Okay.
But I was the passenger.
Okay. And I'm not trying to put words, but are you helping them put things in the trunk, or?
No, everything was already in when I came.
Okay, so everything was already in. Okay. What did you see that was in the vehicle?
Boxes of shoes.
Okay. Do you know any brand names of shoes, or? Jordans. Any other? Nikes. What else? TVs, PlayStations.
No, I didn't see none.
No TVs.
No.
So they were there just to get, was it jewelry, clothing?
Only thing I seen was shoes.
Okay, shoes, okay.
It looked like clothes and shoes were all they took.
When you're looking at the garage, and it's a double car garage, is the vehicle on the left side or the right side or in the middle?
The middle.
The middle? Okay. And when you come around, you get in the passenger seat. Is Quez already in there, or you just sit in the car?
We getting in at the same time.
Okay, getting in at the same time. And you say, the boxes are in the back seat, or is there a trunk? I'm not familiar.
Back seat.
Okay, back seat. Okay, and how many boxes of shoes would you say?
6.
Okay.
7, 6 or 7.
Okay, and that's all you remember seeing is shoes.
Yeah.
Okay. Describe the garage. What did you see in the garage?
I only seen bikes.
Like kids' bikes, grown-up bikes, all-size bikes, or
all size.
Okay, how many would you say?
5 or 4.
Okay, and where are these bikes? Are they hanging on the wall, or are they from the ceiling?
They're just sitting there.
Just sitting there in front of the VW, would you say?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so there's bicycles. Do you remember anything else in the garage?
Just the attic stairs down.
Okay, so when you first see the garage, you see the vehicle, and you see stairs, are you thinking, what the heck is up there?
Yeah.
What is up there? Okay.
You know, I just asked. I asked them what was up there.
I would too. I mean, I don't know what was up there. Did they tell you?
No.
Now, are you just talking to Quez, or are you talking to Jaquavius too?
Just Quez, because I didn't see Javarsi, because he came out once.
Okay. And what did he do when he came out?
He just told us to leave.
Okay.
He'll be right
Is there
behind us.
anything in the other vehicle, that the SUV? Is there anything in that vehicle?
No.
Nothing? So everything you think that was taken was in the VW Beetle? Okay.
At first, Raheem didn't see anyone else around except for Quez, and when Javarsier came out, he simply ordered them to leave.
Why do you think Rita didn't leave with you?
I don't know.
I mean, I'm just asking. Can you guess why?
He told us he was getting more stuff. But
He said he was getting more stuff?
But later that night when I asked what did he stay for and get, he said, don't worry about any stuff.
Okay, so you guys leave, and Weta is still there.
Yeah.
Okay. Is the door open from the garage in? Can you see anything?
No.
Okay.
I just seen the light was on.
Okay, the light was on. Can you describe any of the noises?
I didn't hear no noise.
Okay, did anybody yell, scream, anything break?
No.
Okay. Okay, so you guys back out, and Quez is driving, and tell me again, where do you go?
The same way we came.
The same exact route. Past the airplane place, past DMV. Okay. And then KFC, that way back.
As they drove, Raheem noticed that everything seemed calm. There was no sense of urgency. But when they got to their destination, something didn't quite sit right.
Okay, so where do you go?
He called Quez, and then he drove to Rigdon Park.
Okay. Now, are you familiar with Rigdon Park?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know why? Do you know why that area? Okay. So you drive to Rigdon Park.
I didn't drive.
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. You arrive there and as a passenger, and so you're just sitting there?
Yeah.
Okay. And how long do you think you sit there?
30 minutes.
Okay.
30 minutes.
Does anybody call you, or do you call anybody?
No, Quez.
Quez is on his phone again.
No, he called Quez and tell him he was on his way.
Okay.
Then he finally came and told us to leave.
Okay, and so how do you leave that Rigdon Park?
We go out the main entrance and just turn out and just walk down the long road.
Okay, so you don't really, as soon as you leave the park, you turn left and go straight towards South Lumpkin Road?
Yeah.
Okay, you just go straight up.
This didn't make any sense, so Javarsier was driving in the other car, while Quez and Raheem were ordered to ditch their car.
Why is he still in the vehicle, and why does it make you guys walk?
He said he's going to take it somewhere else.
He didn't offer to drop you off?
No.
You didn't ask him?
I wasn't going to get back.
You weren't going to?
No.
Okay. When's the last time you see Quez?
We all walked together to Javarsi's grandmother's house.
Okay, so you stayed on Calhoun?
Yeah.
Okay, and is that where you sleep that night?
Most of the night, then I walked to my grandmother's house.
What time do you think you walked to your grandmother's house?
1 a.m.
Guido, when's he come back?
He came back the same when we all went to his grandmother's house.
The group drifted off toward Calhoun Road, heading toward Javarsier's grandmother's house.
At his grandmother's house, because they switched them. They switched it out the cars when we met at Rigdon Park.
Okay, so when he arrives at Rigdon Park, you're still there. You guys load up
Yeah.
the SUV, and then you walk.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So where are the shoes now?
In the truck.
In the truck. Okay.
And he says he's gonna ditch the car.
Okay, so he never brings the shoes back to his grandmother's house?
He did. I don't know.
When did you see the shoes at the grandmother's house?
When we got there.
Okay. Okay, so you last saw the shoes technically in the VW, get put in the SUV, and then you walk to Calhoun, but he's already there with the shoes.
Mm-hmm.
And no SUV.
No SUV.
Okay. And then do you guys sit around, talk? Do they smoke? Well, what do they do?
Smoke.
What's he talk about? He tell you what happened inside?
No.
You don't get into it?
I kept asking what he did, why he stayed. And he just said, be quiet, mind your business.
Raheem Gibson is the detective's only lead. The detective knew he had to tread lightly, so he wasn't accusing him, but he was leaving no room for anything to slip past. He needed answers, and he needed the truth.
Was he bloody? Did you ever see any blood on him?
No.
I believe you're very, very truthful with me, but you know we're taking all kinds of DNA from that house. I just need to know, were you inside that house?
No, sir.
Okay. Can we take your DNA to prove that you weren't in that house?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what we're going to do is we're just going to swab him out. That's all it is.
If Raheem had nothing to hide, he needed to let them take a swab. He agreed without much fight.
But you do understand the seriousness of what happened out there?
Yes, sir. That's why.
I mean, and I'm sure it's weighing on you because you said you haven't eaten since that. And who have you confided in? Because I know you can't keep this bottled up.
So, sister and mom.
How much details did you get into with your sister?
I just said he did it, that's all.
The detective dug into the next part of the story, and Raheem talked about what he saw.
Were they wearing gloves?
I seen Javarche put on gloves when he snatched up his cousin.
Describe the gloves. Rubber gloves, mittens.
Rubber, I said rubber.
Rubber. Okay, what about Quez?
I didn't see him putting on.
Okay.
The detective steered the conversation in another direction.
They didn't wear any type of mask? I mean, I don't understand. Why would they go do this to his cousin?
I don't know. I thought I knew him, but clearly I don't.
I mean, there's one thing from robbing somebody, stealing something.
Yeah.
But
why you get taken to that level? That's what.
So, in your opinion, do you think Quez was in there while they were being beat up and brutally beaten?
I doubt it, because there wouldn't be no other reason for him to stay there. Okay. For him to stay there and tell us to go. I doubt he had anything. He might have known, but I don't think he helped or did it.
Mm-hmm.
The detectives circled back around, wanting every small detail they could get about what they had been wearing.
Quez, what was Quez wearing? From jacket, what color jacket?
Black. I think it was a hoodie.
Okay. Anything written on it?
No. It looked like on Dollar General.
Following Raheem's description of Quez and Javarcier on the night of the murders, investigators turned their attention to a man who had called 911 the night of the triple homicide, reporting a strange encounter with a suspicious man.
Yeah, I was actually, I left my house, I was running to the ATM to get some cash, and I was on the phone with my spouse, and as I was approaching the stop sign at the end of McKee Road, turning onto Highway 80, going back towards Midland, I noticed there was a guy. He was right when I was slowing down and stopping. He was walking across, like walking off the road onto the grass, and I'm looking back to see if there's traffic coming so I can go. And as I'm looking back, I don't know if he's looking at me, thinking I'm looking at him or what, but he starts walking towards my car, just like he knows me.
The man felt uneasy when he realized the person was making a direct path for his vehicle.
I'm like, oh crap, this guy's walking towards me. And then I couldn't go because there was a car coming. He just keeps on walking. He probably got right there to the pavement of the road, and I was able to go.
He described how out of place the encounter had felt in that quiet, isolated area.
I called 911. Because never do we see someone out there at 9:18 at night at McKee Rock Road. I mean, there's no reason to be out there.
The man began describing the person's appearance, giving them their first real physical lead.
He was wearing a dark color hoodie. The hoodie was on his head, and he was, I would say, he's a light-skinned guy.
When you say light-skinned guy, is he black, white, what?
He's a black guy, black male.
How old did he look to you?
Between, could have been younger, but I would say between 20 and 30.
If you give me a moment, I'll be right back with you shortly, okay? Okay.
With this information in hand, detectives moved quickly to cross-reference potential suspects. They developed a photo lineup that included known associates of Raheem Gibson and Javarcier Tapley. When shown the lineup, the witness immediately identified 15-year-old Rufus Burks as the person he had seen that night near the crime scene. Rufus had a street name. He was also known as Quez. But the detective wasn't done with Raheem. He wanted every little detail he can extract out of him.
Did you see any blood on Weeda when he came back to Calhoun?
No.
I mean, I know this is weighing on you because you got conscious and you know that he was wrong.
He was there and his mother was there. Then I heard about a little girl and I was like, he know all three of them longer than he knew me. So if he think I'm trying to snitch on him, he might try to kill me next. Okay, he killed his own family. What did he do to a friend?
Where do you think he is now?
Probably at his grandma's house.
On Calhoun? Does he have guns? Does he normally carry guns?
No.
I mean, I know you've been thinking about this, but I mean, is that what you think he went out there to take his shoes and something happened? And
yeah, just think something happened.
The detective pressed for anything else Raheem could recall, hoping to stitch together a clearer picture of that night. Caleb had probably thought he could buy himself some mercy, but none of it mattered once things spiraled out of control.
Did you mention something that he said where they tied him up or where they put everybody, or did you say something about a closet, or?
Yeah,
Who said that?
Quez.
Okay, what did he say?
I asked Quez what he doing with the people. He said he put them all in the closet.
You know what closet?
Oh.
Did he say, did he tie him up, or did he, what did they tie him up with, or?
Yeah, I ain't asked. I just knew he tied up the boy.
Okay.
He didn't press for details back then. Part of him didn't want to know.
Is there anything else that would help us make sense out of this? Anybody else we need to talk to?
Sense out of it.
Anybody else you think we need to talk to besides Quez and Weeda? Do you think they told anybody?
I don't know. I ain't been talking to him like that since that.
So you haven't talked to him since?
Probably once today.
What did he say?
His grandpa died today. I asked him how. He said smoking that stuff.
Weeda's phone number is in your phone.
The detective gave Raheem a moment to catch his breath. It was obvious this wasn't sitting right with him. Raheem had a little girl of his own.
And this had to be weighing down on you.
Yeah.
Because you know that wasn't right.
Because when I seen they say he killed a little girl, then I have a little girl.
Exactly.
Just made me sick to his stomach.
Okay.
You know, for like 10 years now. And I never think he'll do anything like that.
The interview wound down, but the officers weren't finishing yet. There was still one more thing they needed from Raheem before they let him go.
This is, like I said, it's a swab. I'll just put it in your mouth, so.
Put it on after this?
No, I mean, this is very involved, okay? And, I mean, you are in the middle of this, okay?
He wasn't just a bystander anymore. Whether he liked it or not, he was right in the thick of it.
So I'm going to jail tonight?
I'd lie to you if I said I don't know. But what you're charged with, I mean, like I said, I can't promise you we're all going to discuss this or whatever, but you do understand that we are, 3 days into this, and now we're just finding out. Okay, now I'm not saying that you were the worst person, this was your idea, but just like if everybody's involved, you have something to put into this, okay? So I'm not saying that, no, are you leaving here tonight? No.
Tonight?
No. But there's a difference between what you're saying and cooperating to what happens to you.
There was no hiding the fact that this was just the beginning. The detective still had a long list of people to see, and Raheem's fate hung somewhere in the middle of all that.
That, honestly, I do not know. This is, you know how big this is, okay? There has been people talking about this just from all over, okay? This is a very big thing, okay? And we're trying to figure this all out. But now you're coming down here cooperating, and now, I mean, literally, we're gonna go see what happens from here. I mean, you're not the last person we gotta go talk to, okay?
The next part of the process began. Out came a consent form, plain and clinical.
What this is just saying, consent to draw saliva. You fully understand that your consent is necessary for saliva to be drawn, and that any evidence developed from this sample is admissible as evidence against you in a court of law. And like I said, it is not blood, it is, I'm just going to do that in your mouth, okay? Like I said, I'm the witness, you're the signature. You just sign right there, that is. Just open your mouth, I'm going to go get your signature gun.
A signature here, a quick open of the mouth there, and it was done. Another piece of the puzzle collected. With that part finished, he was officially charged with murder and taken into custody. Detectives then dug into the 3 suspects' social media accounts. Search warrants revealed messages between Javarcier Tapley and Rufus Burks, aka Quez, that hinted they might have been involved in the crime. It wasn't just talk either. Pictures surfaced of stolen items from the Short home being offered up for sale. When detectives brought Rufus to the station for questioning, Rufus clammed up immediately and demanded a lawyer. Rufus Burks was arrested and charged with murder. Javarcier, on the other hand, was surprisingly cooperative, still putting up the act of a grieving cousin.
Oh, man. Apologize for the wait, man. Been taking care of some everything around here, man. Stay busy. Man, I tell you again, man, I really do appreciate you. Appreciate your patience, man, and appreciate you coming out here and talking to us and everything.
Yeah, I gotta get up and go to school in the morning.
Yeah. Oh, man, it's 11:59.
Detective Malone let Javarcier settle in before steering the conversation to the heart of the matter.
You know, some people that say that you might have had something to do with it.
Yes, sir.
What you know about that?
Nothing. I mean, why would I do something like that? I told you my whereabouts. My grandma can tell you my whereabouts where I was.
Mm-hmm.
Why would I have anything to do with my own cousin?
I don't know, that's what I'm asking you. I mean, we just have to, you know, if people tell us something, we just have to check into it.
Yeah, I understand that. I would never have something to do with it. Knowing, all these years I've been knowing him, never even crossed my mind to do something like that, have anything to do with something like that. You feel what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
No. I just can't. I didn't do that. I promise you that.
He seemed hurt by the very idea. He would never even think about doing something like that. Detective Malone reminded him just how devastating the situation was.
Because, man, this was a terrible incident. Nobody deserved that.
They really didn't.
And nobody deserved that. So, you know, you got a child, teenager,
and a grandmother,
and
a mother.
Mm-hmm.
A beat of silence filled the room before Javarcier nudged the conversation onward.
I don't even see myself even being in no situation like that.
And why's that?
Because I'm not that type of person, you know.
What type of person is that?
A cold-hearted person.
Cold-hearted person?
Yeah. I don't see myself hurting anyone.
Mm-hmm. You never gotten upset and want to hurt somebody?
No, sir. Well, everybody got upset.
Uh-huh.
Can't even lie about that.
Yeah.
As far as getting upset
mm-hmm.
and going off and stuff like that, I don't.
To him, getting mad was just part of life, not something that ever spiraled into real violence. Detective Malone sensed they were getting somewhere, even if the full truth was still just out of reach.
Well, let me ask you this, man. Why would people be saying, what if I told you, you know, why all these people would be saying that you had something to do with it?
Probably because Caleb was my cousin, and they saw, and they, when me and Caleb was together or something like that at the mall, they saw me and him together. So they figured if he always with Caleb. He probably know who Caleb had beef with, who Caleb all let come to the house, who Caleb hung out with, who Caleb did this with, who Caleb did that with. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah, but stuff like that, no. I don't know who he had beef with or anything like that.
Are you sure?
Yes, sir. I'm positive.
So you don't know nothing about this incident?
No, sir.
He was polite and respectful, but under it all, there was a thin wire of tension pulling tight. The detective decided it was time to wrap it up for now, but just when it seemed like everything was winding down, the mood changed again, sharp and cold.
I just get a vibe about you, and if something just keep telling me that things not adding up here, man. I don't think you're being truthful with me.
I'm being 100% truthful with you.
I don't think you are. I don't think you are. I've been doing this, for some time now, speaking with people, and some things you telling me, it don't make any. It's not adding up. It's not jiving.
Well, I'm telling you what I know, and from what I have done with Caleb, and as far as being around him and stuff like that.
Well, I think you know more than what you're telling me.
I honestly don't.
I do.
And in that small, stuffy room with the cheap buzzing light overhead, it didn't really matter what Javarcier said anymore. The doubt had already dug itself in too deep. After the interview ended, investigators requested Javarcier to hand over his phone. He agreed, and investigators had dug through his phone. They uncovered something they hadn't seen before, a trail of deleted messages between him and Caleb Short, exchanged right around the time of the murders. It was enough to pull Javarcier back in for another round of questioning. This time, they weren't just coming with questions, they had a search warrant in hand. Then, a forensic technician stepped in, carrying a small kit. First came the saliva swabs.
All right, I'm gonna rub this in one side of your cheeks.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna take the second one to the other side. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
After that, it was time for the hair samples.
All right. Like I said, I'll try to be quick, buddy. This guy kind of take like 25 random ones, okay?
Really?
And I didn't even take it out there. Sorry.
The technician wrapped up and signaled to the detective that he was done, but not before cracking a joke.
All right, now you drop your pants. We'll get some. I'm just kidding.
I was gonna say, I don't know what y'all got going on over here.
Nah, we're kidding.
Detective Malone stepped back in. This was the last chance he was offering him. The detective then dropped the first real card on the table. He circled back to his phone, the one he had willingly handed over last time. But the explanation came out tangled, nervous, and Detective Malone didn't seem too convinced. The session was winding down, but the consequences were only just beginning.
I appreciate your cooperation, Dave.
Yes, sir.
They arrested Javarcier the very next day. No struggle, no drama. He was picked up quietly from his grandmother's house. He pulled out a form. It was a standard rights form, outlining everything Javarcier needed to know before they went any further. While Javarcier sat in jail, something unexpected happened. His cellmate, who had been watching and listening closely, decided he had heard enough. He sent a letter to the police, asking to speak with detectives. The detectives didn't waste any time. They set up a meeting inside the jail, ready to hear whatever the cellmate had to say. The cellmate described what made his skin crawl.
I was like, Mr. Yubatol, you keep staring at me like that. He's like, oh, you're trying to throw shade? And he's like, I've killed 3 people. You don't think I'll kill you too? If you ever call me Yubatol again, I'm going to kill you. I don't care. We are in the storm. I will kill you. He's like, I'm never getting out anyway.
When the cellmate called him a name he didn't like, Javarcier threatened to kill him. He told them straight up he had already killed 3 people, and if he had to, he would do it again. Jail bars or not. He didn't care.
When he came in the room in the morning, we should read the paper and talk with me about his case. Just, say things like, I wish I could do it again. I'd kill him again. He said they were going to kill the 3rd person, help them. They'll look out and they were going to kill him, but there wasn't enough time.
The detectives listened carefully, piecing everything together. The deeper investigators dug, the clearer the real story became. This wasn't about money, it was some shady deal gone wrong. It was jealousy, plain, ugly jealousy. The Shorts had trusted Javarcier. Caleb had always been shy, and they thought Javarcier would be good for him, help him open up, maybe even make a few memories together. Javarcier had been around their family for years. He wasn't some outsider. Gloria had treated him like her own grandson, buying him clothes, giving him anything he needed. For years, Javarcier had been like part of the Short family. He tagged along on their trips, went to ball games, even made it all the way to Disney World with them. But somewhere along the way, he got caught up with the wrong crowd. Things changed. By the summer of 2014, Gloria and Caleb's family had cut him off completely. No more trips, no more invitations, just silence. And in that silence, Javarcier's anger grew. By the time a year had passed, it had twisted into something dangerous. That's what exploded inside the Shorts' home on that terrible night, January 3rd, 2016. Raheem Gibson later confessed how it all started. They got to the house, and Javarcier lured Caleb outside. Caleb didn't even get a chance to defend himself. He was attacked, dragged out to the backyard, and then it got even worse. They forced their way into the house through Caleb's bedroom window. Inside, they tied up Gloria, Caleb, and Gigi, and then they beat them with anything they could grab. A dumbbell, a broken teapot, a lamp. The rage was out of control. It wasn't just about hurting them, it was about destroying everything they had. Javarcier wanted what Caleb had, the love, the life, the family, and when he couldn't have it, he decided to take it all away. Confronted with all the evidence stacked against him, Javarcier Tapley finally pled guilty to 3 counts of malice murder. There was no deal, no escape hatch. The judge handed down 3 life sentences without the possibility of parole. Javarcier wasn't going anywhere. Raheem Gibson also pled guilty to 3 counts of malice murder, but because he agreed to testify against Rufus Burks, his sentence looked different. Instead of spending life behind bars, Raheem was given 30 years. That left Rufus Burks as the only one willing to roll the dice and go to trial. His attorney admitted Rufus had been there the night of the murders, but tried to convince the jury that he had left with Raheem before anything happened. Nobody bought it. The jury found Rufus guilty of felony murder and kidnapping. The judge sentenced him to 2 life sentences to be served at the same time, plus another 15 years stacked on top. It had been almost 9 years since Javarcier Tapley first walked into prison, locked away for the brutal murders. Nearly a decade behind bars, and somehow, the violence inside him hadn't dulled one bit. On February 5th, 2025, news broke from the Georgia Department of Corrections. Javarcier had attacked a prison guard. He stabbed the officer multiple times, aiming for the head, the body, with clear intent to kill. The charges came quickly: aggravated assault against an officer, and unlawful acts of violence in a penal institution. He was already living under the harshest punishment for a juvenile the system could hand down for 3 murders. Now, after all these years, he's locked even tighter, buried inside a special management unit where he'll spend the rest of his days. No freedom, no future, and no more chances to hurt anyone outside those walls. He will never see the light of day again. Javarcier Tapley's downfall didn't end the night he was sentenced. His rage followed him into the very place he meant to cage it. The truth is, some storms never burn out. They just find smaller rooms to destroy. If this case moved you, share it. Not because it's shocking, but because it's real. Real families, real loss, real betrayal. Hit like to show respect to the victim's memory, and subscribe to the channel where we continue to give voice to the stories that never got the ending they deserved. See you next time.